Hello and welcome to Raven's Arcana. I'm Raven. Thank you as always for joining me, and it's time for the weekly Taroscope. So a tarot spread for all astrological signs, so for all of us. It begins on Sunday, January 26th, and it will end on February 1st, which is Saturday. All right. Hope everyone had a good week. Endings and beginnings, right? A few shuffles here. We'll jump in and start the reading. All right. Let's get our first three cards out there and see where this ride takes us. We're going to begin with the Hermit, upright. Then we have the Five of Swords, upright as well. And then we have the Magician, and the Magician is reversed. So immediately, we'll address the Hermit. So the Hermit being upright means it's time for us to go inside, do some inner work, and kind of work on ourselves, right? So we can't be good for the collective. We can't be good for the whole experience here if we're not centered, balanced, and understand ourselves. It makes it way more difficult to understand and apply and act in the world if we're not balanced. So this is directing us, the Hermit card, directing us to process things, do some inner work, think about how we need to ground ourselves, we need to remain in our center with our emotions, use our intellect and our analytical processes to look at all the information that we gather, and then make sure that when we act, it's appropriate. Now, the Five of Swords here, there's going to be a little bit of chaos involved. So 5 is always going to be a chaos number. And I think we're actually transitioning past this. And we're transitioning past this by doing that inner work. So there's been some stress, some anxiety, and this is all just kind of, if you see in the back of this card, there's a storm brewing, right? However, we're moving past that, and I think the way that we do that, once again, is to do and perform that inner work. Now, the Magician being reversed at this point, we are still the Magician. We are always the Magician as much as we are the Fool. The blockages here are signifying that we haven't performed the inner work required. We haven't balanced ourselves. We haven't made sure that we're all set internally so we can address the external. We always have all the tools available to us. We're just not utilizing them correctly. And the Hermit will step in once you do that inner work, provide that guiding light for you to go within so you can act accordingly without. All right? Let's go below the surface and go into the next step of the reading. And I just want to address one more thing before we do that. So the stress and anxiety, that's obviously mental, and it runs into obviously all the other elements that are involved. But the Magician being reversed, that Mercury energy, it is our way of thinking, our intellect, the way we analyze. And we haven't been able to analyze the external world because of the need for that inner work, once again. I know I've said that a couple times, but it's time for a mind reset. All right, so below the surface, our first card is going to be the Ten of Cups reversed. We have the High Priestess reversed as well. And then we have the Moon, and the Moon is upright. So the Moon card, right? We have the path. We're coming out of the water. We're processing our emotions correctly. We're not being delusional about the situations in front of us, right? When we look down the path, there's left and right. We want to stay in our center. That Moon will guide us, and the Moon is intuition. However, with the High Priestess and that Moon energy governing the High Priestess, that reversal, there's some blockage there. So we haven't been able to use our intuition, our gut feelings, to make decisions, to take actions, to even process thoughts about external influences correctly. And it's putting a damper on our ability, with this Ten of Cups being reversed, to experience joy, right? So I always call that the sunshine and rainbows card. So we're in a place where we're not really happy. We don't have that fulfillment of joy, that happiness. And it doesn't mean we're depressed. It just means we're not able to reach that final step, right, to get to the top of the mountain and view everything. Have that perspective that fulfills us. Reason for that, once again, we haven't performed the work necessary. We're not using all of our tools that we've been given. So our divine tools, our ability to manage ourself, which allows us to process and actually manage the external or the collective. The moon will guide you. Your intuition. Do that inner work. Go back in, trust your gut, trust your instincts, and we'll be able to essentially take the straight and narrow path and not be discouraged, not be distracted, not be manipulated, because we have our eye on the prize. And our eye on the prize is that center, and that center of our will, meaning the balance. We're balancing out the spectrums of our emotions, of our actions, of everything that makes us a person, a being in this experience. So we're going to go above the surface, build that little tower up there, the tiny tower, and see if we can get a view from the top. So a little bit more perspective. And when I say go below the surface here, this is usually how we're feeling, and we're not talking about it. This is either suppressed emotions, or it's going to be the way we actually feel that other people don't see, right? So we feel like we can't trust our gut. We can't trust our instincts, our intuition, but we need to start doing that. So the view from the top, we have the Eight of Swords. The Eight of Swords is reversed. We have the Page of Wands reversed. And we also have the Nine of Cups reversed. So immediately with the Eight of Swords. The Eight of Swords is that self-entrapment. We have created a prison for ourselves. We have trapped ourselves through our thoughts, and it has spun out for us. We no longer have control of things, and we are guarded. And this being in the top spread, the view from the top, as I like to call it, the tiny tower, what have you, people see you as being walled off. Now, they might not see that you've created all of this through stress and anxiety, but they do see you as being walled off. You have kind of removed yourself from situations where there's a lot of people involved. You have removed yourself from the collective a little bit. And people have noticed that. Now, with the Page of Wands being reversed, you're lacking inspiration. You know, we all find inspiration in different ways. We look to art, we look to nature, we look to music, we look to things, to crafts, to trades that we enjoy to inspire us to create. So we're not so much consuming everything, we're helping create things, we're helping build instead of just enjoying. The Nine of Cups here, that is the romance, the beauty, someone who is very, and I don't think this is a person. I think this is actually, meaning this is not a person that's external. You don't have any external influences. You're missing a little bit of passion, a little bit of inspiration, and that love and that beauty and the remote romance of this experience is not there. And it's because we're processing things, we're having thoughts about external events. Information is kind of being manipulated because we're not in our center, right? And the romance, the beauty, the love, and our experience in this life, there is a blockage because of that. And we're becoming walled off from our friends, from social situations. And we're just looking for that inspiration, right? And once again, going below the surface, it's because you don't trust your gut feelings, your instincts, your intuition at the moment. But it's not the world's fault, and it's not your fault. We all process all of this, but this has to be accomplished by performing inner work. Let's close out the spread with the final 3 cards and see if we can find a little bit of solution or maybe some clarity in here. We'll see how the cards come out and go from there. All right. right. What do we have here? So we have the 10 of Wands reversed. We have the 3 of Swords reversed. But we end the entire reading with the Emperor upright. So that Emperor is that instinct. It's that instinct to know when to take action, right? So that's that Aries, that Mars energy that moves. That's that ultimate cardinal passion, that fire. So you will find that. And that's who you are at the center of your being. The 10 of Wands here, the burden card, the oppression from that. I don't necessarily see the 10 of Wands always as the burden, meaning it's forcing you to become depressed or oppressed. I see that 10 of Wands as you sharing your experience. So once you learn something, once the student learns all the material, then they become the teacher, right? And in this case, with inspiration, I think that you are looking to find that inspiration, to find your center, to get your emotions, your grounding, your thoughts, where you're comfortable with them, so you can be that person that shares in the collective, in the experience. And it doesn't mean you're teaching someone everything you know all of the time. It just means you are in a situation where it's a shared experience. You're sharing joy. You might be sharing emotions. You might be able to help someone process sadness or oppression or depression because you've been through that. You have, some tips and tricks based on your experiences to help others raise their vibration and find their center as well. But remember, you are the Emperor. You have that cardinal fire. You have that ability to trust your instincts when you're in your center and make the decisions that keep that flame going. Now, the 3 of Swords here, that's the heartbreak card in this deck. The Hermetic deck is called the Lord of Sorrow. That being reversed, your path, and a lot of people see the 3 of Swords as an emotional card, even though it's a Swords card. It depends on how it comes in the reading. In this instance, I see this as the need for you to find your center. With the 3 swords here, you find that center sword. You find that intellect. You're able to process the duality you see in front of you, right? So with the Moon card, you have that straight and narrow path that you want to stay in your center. You don't want to, for lack of a better term, become manic and unbalanced and just spiral. You want to see the duality in everything and stay in your center. You want to be able to control your emotions, your thoughts, and you want to be able to make sound decisions based on processing all the information that comes in. So this is another card that signifies you're not in your center. And a lot of this has to do with mental work. But once again, a lot of people talk about, oh, this is only mental work, or this is only physical work, or this is only emotional or spiritual creative work. They're all related. So one follows the other. And they don't necessarily all fall in line in the same manner for each of us, right? So some of us might spin out emotionally, which causes us to have thoughts that are inaccurate. We don't have thoughts that are our own if we're empathic. Or we might be stressed and anxious, and our thoughts might create fear, anxiety. It's all related. And then you become ungrounded, meaning you're not in your center. You're not able to enjoy the whole spectrum of thought, emotion, spirituality, creation. You're not able to do all that. It becomes manic movement, the big waves, right? Instead of that smooth transition back and forth, that pendulum that swings back and forth with the spectrum that we all have to manage. So, moral of the story here is you do need to perform some inner work. You need to look within. So if you've had arguments, you've had anxiety, you're viewing things, you're becoming stressed, anxious, angry, sad, and you're unable to find that balance, remember that you do have all the tools. And to perform that inner work and find that balance inside of you will restore your faith in your gut instincts, your intuition, allowing you to find that inspiration, allowing you to remove those chains, right, that blindfold, allowing you to return to the collective, see the beauty in everything, have that romantic, just loving experience with your environment, with the people around you. You'll be able to share your experiences because you have found your center, and you are the magician, you are the hermit, you are the emperor. You have that cardinal fire that allows you to come in and make those decisions based upon balance. It's all about balance. All right. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you sticking around for the reading. If you like the video, please give it a like. If you want to show your support, by all means, subscribe to the channel, leave any questions or comments, and we will get to them as soon as we can. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day and definitely have a lovely week. All right? Take care.